So, welcome all. Welcome to Thursday Night Takeaway. My name is Lorraine Copes, and I'm the founder of Be Inclusive Hospitality. And Thursday Night Takeaway is a fortnightly web series where I talk to founders and restaurateurs within the industry and just hear more about their pathway into hospitality and what hospitality has in store for them in the future. And so I'm joined today by another brilliant guest, and I'm going to hand over to him for him to introduce himself, who he is, and what he does.
Hi, Lorraine. Thanks for inviting me. Thanks for having me. I am Aji Akokomi, founder of Akoko Restaurant.
Thank you. For those that have not been to Akoko yet, firstly, they need to get there because food's amazing. But what is Akoko?
Akoko is a West African, fine dining restaurant, really, and that's what we try to do, pretty much um, to showcase, West African culture, African cuisine to London in a very, beautiful way, elevated way with exceptional service.
Super, thank you. And tell me about your path into the hospitality industry. Um, when did it start? How did it start? Why did it start? What was the beginning?
Yeah, pretty much it started, a while ago, really. It started about, 4 years ago, working in within the IT industry. Just used to go out, with friends, go out to nice places to eat. And, why I've always loved, cuisines of the world, whether Japanese, Indian, and all that stuff. And then would like to go somewhere really nice to eat. And, pretty much friends saying, there's actually nothing African. And also from there, inviting friends home, where I've then, pretty much look at, auntie's recipes I've learned from
Yeah.
home. And then pretty much, cook well, serve well, and, people actually liking it.
Mm,
And I think I'm a natural entertainer. I love to entertain people.
yeah.
Just pretty much then started from there and hosting people to actually thinking I think we need to open a restaurant. And
Really?
besides, there's a
Yeah.
there's a business opportunity there where if you put something beautiful West African in Central London, when I was thinking about it, it didn't exist.
Yeah.
Um, I
Yeah.
thought, if marketed well, that I could do well, and,
Yeah.
and that's what we pretty much did. And I
Yeah.
pretty much turned my kitchen into a development kitchen. I would invite, chefs, that would create,
Yeah.
this, and I would writing it down. So I have a really big book,
Yeah.
recipes, that we've tried, we've tested, and then that's what we actually pretty much use in Akoko, also still
Okay.
adding on to the
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell me, you said that you feel as though you're a natural entertainer. Were you the host or were you the cook or both?
I was both. I was both. I was
Okay.
both. And actually, I also did go to Leeds School, which I'm proud that I did.
You.
Yeah, I went to Leeds School of Food,
Yes.
Food and Wine. I really, and I think it took that interest, another notch. I learned a lot about, GP, gross profit. I learned a lot about health and safety, food
Yeah.
cuisines, what
Oh,
to cook,
see.
and all stuff there, which was really useful for me. But
Yeah.
because I wanted to do it at as the highest level I could, not
Yeah.
having worked in any kitchens really.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I sort of wanted to be making some sort of collaboration with a good chef who's got that experience. Whereas, for instance, what I call myself is the menu development person who would give you the background, the history,
Yeah.
where we get
Yes.
all this ingredients from, what we can and cannot use, pretty much the stories, and also pretty much research, done so much research, and I
Can imagine.
handed over to them. So that's what I do.
Super. And would it be fair to say then, given that it started from a personal place of you entertaining, realizing there's a gap in the market, and I guess what I'd love to understand is what was that deciding moment where you said yes, we're going to do this. Like, what was that, or
It
when did
was
that happen?
pretty much, after then, turning my kitchen into
Yeah,
a government space, and also
yeah.
going to I think I pretty much went to all the sort of West African, pop-ups, and I'm not sure
Okay.
if there are lots of pop-ups nowadays.
Mm,
Back then, I'm talking 3 years ago, really, or 4 years ago. There's so many pop-ups, amazing pop-ups like Lerato. So that's actually, Lerato used to do some pop-ups, lots of more other wonderful people then. And actually, really, enjoying, all of that. I thought, okay, there is, pretty much, lots of people have this beautiful idea to then take it to the next, level, really.
yeah,
And I thought, okay, well, I think going to successful pop-ups, really going to lots of them, and I've always enjoyed. I thought, okay, well, this is a really good avenue, and then we decided to do the findings. So we had an hospitality consultant,
yeah.
who then learned about the cuisine, did a bit of research where we could be in central London, how we would work with PR, how we would work with landlords, what we needed to have in terms of, landlords pack and investors pack and so on and so forth. So I just wanted to do it without leaving any stone unturned. So
Mhm.
I had that consultant who then really helped, really.
Yeah.
And then in the kitchen, I had, we've always had a chef would cook, would take
Yeah.
photos,
Yeah.
uh, but actually, even it was from my house, we started making bespoke ceramics. And what would look good to serve jollof.
Really?
We do that. Yeah. So, pretty much lots of, currently I just have lots of, you
Yeah.
know, of cuts of ceramics and, and
Yeah.
then such big, beautiful photos, trying to, see how well we could do it before we then moved into the brick and mortar, really.
Yes. Oh wow, that's amazing. It must be quite I mean, you tell me, in terms of just being in a reflective space and looking at the space, the beautiful space that you now have versus the journey of getting there and all the development that it has taken to arrive at where you are here and now. How does it feel? Um
It feels good
mm,
because I think the food, the space itself was an idea that we, also working with, Jean from Unitas then,
yeah.
who's a hospitality consultant. We actually did a series of, sessions where, would, it would say, how would you want the space to be? We talk about open
Mm,
kitchen,
mhm,
open bar, like African parties, would talk about terracotta, such as inspired by a hot, Adobe architecture of West Africa, and then pretty much writing and painted the picture, and then went to create a beautiful graphic of what the space would look like. And
wow.
that's quite really nice. And then pretty much having the entirety of the plan, it should look like this. It should be here, and actually
Yeah.
sort of sticking to it. And so what we painted, what we described on paper, sort of ensuring matches reality. It's
Yeah.
that joy in some sense that we made this happen, having a plan, writing it down, working towards making it happen. Yeah, that pretty much. Of course, there were roadblocks, but
Yes, of
also
course.
to
Yes.
believe in that, just to make it happen. Look at
Yeah.
another aspect to make sure this exists, really comes to life.
Super.
Yeah.
Super. And tell me this. So when did Akoko open? Remind me. Was it 2020?
Oh, Akoko was 2020, September
I
the
thought so.
25th.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. 20. I remember I came to the soft launch, and I think it was one of the first restaurants that I went to outside, out of lockdown. So I was
Ah,
just so
wow.
happy to be
Thank
out.
you.
Obviously amazing food too. But it's a question for me now that you've joined the hospitality industry, fairly new in, so almost 3 years.
Yes.
What were the biggest surprises to you having joined the sector? Because I think there's only so much that you can know having or looking from the outside from the outside looking in. Now you're in it.
Yeah.
Were there any big surprises for you?
That it's such a small world.
Yes,
It
really.
was that it's such a small world,
Yeah.
and thank God that I had, just because I wasn't in it, and I had the audacity to get into it, and then just to realize how difficult it is.
Mm,
It's really really difficult, really, from making it happen, having a concept,
yeah,
getting a landlord who would allow you to then use the space, and also
yeah,
getting the funding, in some cases not even getting it all, but somehow you made it happen. But also, pretty much, this, making a success on a daily basis, it's really hard, small profit margin. But then if you're smart enough, you need to, it's just between, the GP,
mm,
health and safety,
yeah,
um, you know, customers coming in, and exceptional staff
yeah,
that you then train on a regular basis, that believe in what you believe in. You all want to come together to make it a great success. Motivating staff on a regular basis, because I think currently now, other than the energy prices, you then have staffing issues, which is how then do you get them? How do you keep them motivated? How do you ensure they learn and deliver to the standards that you require? And it's
yeah,
all of this going, and how do you make it? How do you get customers come into the restaurant, from PR to marketing to making sure your Instagram is, so it's full on.
yeah,
It is really, really hard work.
yeah. It's loads of moving parts and
Yeah,
a huge influence of people, right? Whether that is customers or your teams.
yeah,
And yeah, it's an awful lot of juggling
yes.
of many
So much
components.
juggling. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just wanted to also explore your thoughts on where and how maybe the hospitality industry might need to evolve to future-proof the sector. And I know obviously in the press there's been tons of talk about firstly the fact that as a result of Brexit there was like a mass exodus of people from the UK, hospitality under tremendous amounts of pressure from trading hours to operation costs, supply chain, and then you've got people. And
Yeah.
I'm just interested in your thoughts on what is it that you think the sector collectively needs to do to make sure that some of the challenges that we face here today are not kind of challenges of the future?
I think collectively what we can do is actually look at the supply chain, and I think most importantly the people,
Mm,
their the welfare. We talk things about mental health, and and most importantly is the work-life balance. That how can you get people to work in your restaurant, in whatever food business it is, and that they are not constantly being overworked, uh, with little time for families or personal life, really. And I think it's just that that restaurants now are realizing that now you got to pay people, you got to pay staff very well. At the same time, you have to give them that work-life balance. It's actually looking at your business model and thinking, how can we make it work with happy
mm,
staff and
mhm,
have what other sectors really do have? I think that's
mm.
the most important. And then it then begins to, do you necessarily need to open all of every day? Can
Yeah,
you concise really? For us, we pretty much have lunch from Thursday to Saturday, and then
okay.
dinner services from Tuesdays. And again, it's just so
Yeah,
that staff can have time to rest,
yeah,
and also to make sure we can still keep the business going.
of course.
And
Yeah.
it's just that in my opinion, it's just business really need to think of, uh, not m- most importantly, I think the people, and
Yeah,
then
absolutely.
also what the product is, the restaurant, the success of that
Mhm.
restaurant, the
Yeah, yeah.
success of the people, and the profitability of the restaurant together.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. And I think that in ways, the situation that we're in now has kind of forced businesses to
Yes.
really look at it in order to really survive. And so I 100% agree with you on that. And so if you could tell me, if you could give me one singular word that you would use to sum up your hospitality journey today, what word would you use?
Challenging.
I continues, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think with families I've spoken to, Aji, whether 2 years, 10 years, 15 years, they'll give me the same word. So something I want to explore a bit more with you is just about sharing culture through food and how important that is to you personally or not. Just tell me.
I actually think it's really important, other than trying to make
Yes.
money from restaurant. I think it's also, pretty much sharing culture. You
Mm,
know, uh, when it comes to culture, how your background. I think the most important part of it is the food. What you
yeah,
ate growing up, and I think
yeah,
that's actually, for instance, it talks of jollof rice, is it talks of the West African soups and stews and
yeah,
all of that. And so when we, for instance, with the, I try quite like it, because what I say to people is I like to pretty much share my culture, share my food in the cooking of the food as well. So our
yeah,
team is very diverse, and we like that, because the learn is something new. The
yeah,
technique, the different West African techniques which we do have,
yeah,
the ingredients, which most part is quite accessible, telling
yeah,
the stories and even the health benefit, and sharing, how your mom learned it from her mom, and various traditions associated to food. And so
yeah,
when we're going to develop a dish, we talk
mm,
about the story, the inspiration, and then get
mm,
to learn from me, really, and
yeah,
just to showcase my culture, really. I think
yeah,
it's really good, and people wanting to learn. And
yeah,
when we do development, we find younger chefs going, I've Googled this. I think this is gonna be that. And you hear them say something eforiro or something that, okay, oh yeah, that's really good. And
yeah,
also when customers come, expressing new flavors,
mm,
West African, music, and a couple of the dishes we've described, they have notes, and they feel they've traveled somewhere else. They feel
yeah,
that they've learned something. And I think it's
yeah,
that representation, pretty much. I think that's
yeah.
actually good in the London scene.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? When I last stayed at your restaurant, something that really stuck out to me, I mean, obviously the food was amazing, but there was a lady that was waiting, and she was brilliant in terms of her knowledge. She explained every single course to a T. Um,
Yeah,
and
that's
also,
amazing.
not only
Thank you.
did she do that, I could see she took real pride in sharing the information. And the reason why I think it's brilliantly done is because you're occupying a space within London for West African food that isn't otherwise occupied. There's no stamp alternative, carbon copy similar. There's no one else that's occupying the space that you are. And so I think being able to support the food journey with stories, I think, is a really brilliant and wonderful thing. And a question for you around West African food. What are your hopes for West African food and that scene within London and the UK?
I think more, and I think we really want more people to embrace it. We don't want it to be, we want it to be permanent, not a fad that people
Yeah,
talking about West African food now. After something else will come up, it should just stay. Like
yeah,
French cuisine, it should stay.
yeah,
Like
absolutely.
Indian cuisine, like Japanese, it should just stay. And for
Yeah,
that to stay, I think more operators also need to come. And we
yeah,
are trying. Those of us that are there, we should just you know, uh, try to survive. Stay in there.
yeah,
Stay in
yeah,
there. Innovate, create,
yeah, yeah,
and let people come and enjoy the joys of West Africa. Uh,
yeah,
and then, yeah, and then stay, really.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I think what excites me personally is especially over the past couple of years, we've seen more and more different types of West African restaurants opening up, all occupying their own space. And I think the thing with many other cuisines is that you will find casual dining, fine dining, and everything in between within that cuisine set. And I think Black food broadly, and then African and Caribbean, it's always been
Yeah.
quite narrow. And I'm excited not only for the recent openings that we've seen, obviously starting with yourselves and that have followed since, but also what's to come. As you know, I hear on the grapevine that there's some more excitement to follow. So I think it's going to
Yeah.
enrich the hospitality sector in a really
Definitely.
wonderful way.
Cool.
Um,
Yes.
and I absolutely am biased on that because it's my favorite food of all time. So, anyway, moving on. So, I've got a question for you about business lesson then. And has
Yes.
there been a really significant business lesson that you take away from your journey here today? And if so, what has that been?
Now it's the planning, planning ahead. You just, like I said earlier, that try to remain, and how to remain is to look at your finances, how, and with the customers coming in, how can you continue to exist really. So you want to plan ahead. You then want to really look at your business model. You want to look at your restaurant estate, your staff, most importantly,
Mhm.
your rent and all of that, and see how can we, how do we, how can we thrive through this challenge. And now there's energy bills. Thankfully, when we again planning, when we were thinking about it, we went all electric, and so that means,
Did you?
yeah, fortunately for us, now with the high energy bills, ours is nowhere near other restaurants.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
nowhere near. And so it was actually this kind of consultation with kitchen
Yeah.
people, and like, what would the future look like in terms of
Yeah.
cooking, what, cooking, and so they went go electric. It's high cost initially to install
Yeah.
it, but then it's cheaper in the long run. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, you know, that, training of the staff, making sure they're happy,
Yeah.
so pretty much, we have people that have been with the Coco ever since it started, and I
Mhm.
think that's good as well. So it's actually just that planning ahead, and how then do we chart these waters? How do we
Yeah,
make sure? So financial planning is actually quite key.
yeah, super,
Yes.
super. And what are you most looking forward to? That could be within your business or the broader sector, or what are you looking forward to,
Long
if
term.
anything?
Yeah, long-term success of Akoko. Akoko's still been there. Still been,
Yeah,
I think again, for something to remain, it has to be a brand. I'm sort of happy that, people know about Akoko. Thankfully, it feels it's a brand, but needs to be, how we can continue to maintain that,
yeah,
to maintain the quality, to maintain
yeah,
that brand associated to quality and luxury as
yeah,
well. And then, that's where people come to pay for it.
mhm,
Yeah, just
yeah.
Akoko in 10 years.
Yes.
Still
Oh, good.
here.
Sure.
Yeah.
And unless actually, tell us where Akoko is specifically for anyone watching that hasn't been to the restaurant.
So Akoko is in central London, Fitzrovia,
Yeah,
on Berners Street, just opposite Sanderson Hotel, which is a landmark around that area. So
yeah.
it's easy to go to.
Super. Thank you. And we're going to do now, finally, just to finish, a quick fire round, just so we can get to know you a bit better, a bit more personally. And the first question I've got for you is, what is your favorite smell?
Oh, my favorite oud is my hand by Dior.
Okay. 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 Nice. I thought you were going to say a food item.
Oh, it's food item. Oh, if it's food item,
No,
it's
no,
ouda.
it's whatever your
I'm
whatever
so
your
vain.
favorite.
It's all right.
Okay. What's your favorite season of the year?
Say it again.
What's your favorite season?
Ah, it has to be summer.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. Favorite word?
Favorite word. Ooh.
Is there a word you overuse?
Is that a word? Yes. I think that's a favorite word for me. Yet again, I think you like it is success.
Yeah, favorite ingredients?
Our favorite ingredient that red bell peppers, Tata say.
Okay.
Ta.
Okay. Right. Favorite color?
Our favorite black.
Okay. And favorite drink?
Favorite drink, Zobo, hibiscus drink.
Yes, I've tasted that actually.
Yes.
Um, and so super duper. Well, I mean, that is it. We're done. And so thank you so much for joining us. It's always a real pleasure to speak to you. Let's not leave it so long next time. And yeah, thanks for joining us. And for those of you that joined today, thank you. We will see you in a fortnight's time with another phenomenal founder or restaurateur within the hospitality industry. Bye.